Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the United States of America podcast, our exit stage left edition with me and Michelle Ford. Um, just chatting away between North Carolina and California. How are you, Michelle?
Hey, Niti, I'm great. I'm great. I mean, I used to be like, oh, it's Monday. I remember those days, right? It's like, oh, I'm fine, except for that it's Monday. But I don't say that anymore. I'm like, you know what? Every day is a great day. I
I
took
know.
on this, I took on this, I used to have a roommate back in the day,
Ah,
right?
uh-huh.
Amanda. I'm giving a shout out to Amanda Lagore right now. So Amanda had this philosophy, and it literally was this: no matter no matter where I am, no matter who I'm with, and
Mhm.
no matter what I'm doing, I'm having the time of my life. And I just thought, that is so cool. So I said,
It-
can I steal that? Like, that's such a cool thing. And she's like, yeah, girl, have at it. And so I've lived by that ever since.
I will tell you, I am so glad that we were able to find our way back to that in this household. And it was, we lost our daughter. So that was awful. We were
Yeah.
in, you know, a pit. And I will say that our community and our people all around us really um, were incredible support for us. And I can't even try to name all the people that are in our immediate community here on North
Mhm.
Carolina that lifted us. And I feel so humbled and blessed that they helped, like, literally drag us out of this mud pit. And you
Mhm.
know, once we got unstuck, then it was like we decided we literally cannot live any day at all wondering or allowing anyone to tell us how to feel or what to look at. And then we started
Yeah.
noticing that they're constantly making us say things like, it's wine time, or,
Right.
oh no, it's Monday, or whatever it was, whatever this
Yeah.
hamster wheel thing is. And we just decided whatever we do, we're not going to do that.
Right.
And then
Oh,
I
I
was
love it.
like, I said, well, why isn't every day just like when the bird, if you wake up and you go outside, then you hear the birds going, it's a new day. Like every day, like, oh my God, it happened again. It happened again.
Right.
Yeah. And
Little
so,
kids are like that too, right? You've got little kids. When they
yeah,
wake up on a Saturday morning, it's like they're ready
yeah,
for anything, any day of the week.
yeah.
They're like, let's go. Yeah.
And so our kids, our two surviving kids were so small at the time that we decided that if they can't wake up every day and just be like, oh my God, and we're not going to be putting them in so we unschooled them as a side effect because I refused to put them on the schedule. I refused to let them be trapped in a box. I refused to like make our house chaotic and rushy and insane and whatever. And the only people that we really paid attention to or worked on a schedule for
Hmm.
was for our food church, like because we learned about what it was that we had to do to live and not die, what it was, what mistakes we had made, what we're not going to do again, all the things. And it literally was like, okay, we have to be responsible for ourselves because it doesn't work when you're not.
Hmm.
And so we can't have anything to complain about because we're choosing it, right? But
Right.
we were always choosing it. That was the funny part, is that we were always choosing it.
Hmm.
And a lot of folks think
Right.
that, well, you just can do whatever you want and you can just put your head in the sand because you're special or something. And I'm like, I don't know what you think is so special about me because, I had to create my own situation, whatever it was. And like my husband still like goes to work, you know? So so he still has to be in that a little bit, but like we make him come home to something completely outside of that,
That's
you
great.
know. And
Yeah,
we
he
and we try
probably
to
appreciates the breath of fresh air.
I mean, I hope so. I don't know, but like we try to keep it easy. But we're constantly working towards being better. Like, we're building the
Mhm,
assemblies, we're doing the things. But like before that, I've always been involved in walking in this, we're going to be better than than what we were.
mhm.
So I feel like if I can go through all of that and find my way back to this, so can anybody, right?
That's right. Yeah, because it really went against the natural order of things that you would lose your little girl, you know what I mean? So, yep, if
Yeah.
you can come back from that, that's pretty awesome.
Right. I mean, do I think that do I not miss her or whatever? I
Mm.
mean, no. I could easily fall back into a ditch if I want to. But like I just don't allow myself to do that. There's too
Mhm,
she made such a big impact on everybody while she was here. Why would we not continue that work,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So, I guess that kind of brings me to so friends out there, like I just got back from the beach. We just celebrated our anniversary. It was a spectacular weekend, like a simple weekend at the beach. And I just feel like I've been gone for a long time and I was just missing everybody. And I was telling Michelle, I was like, I feel like I don't even know what's going on because I've just been gone for a couple of days. But that means we had a good trip because I feel like I don't even know, what's going on. But then I was telling Michelle that, you know, this food topic keeps coming up and I don't know, how should we go into this? Are we
Yeah, yeah. So the food topic comes up. That's obviously Nithi's, a huge passion of Nithi's in addition to the assemblies. And so, um, as I was talking with Nithi right before we started the show here, I said, that's I know like the basics, right? Because I was not a food activist. I was a quote anti-vaxxer, okay, which
mm,
is really a derogatory term, but I was heavily involved in activism in regards to medical freedom, health freedom. And so I wanted to make sure that people had the right to determine what gets put into their children's bodies and or their own bodies in the under this guise of preventative medicine, right? So
yeah.
I was an advocate for maintaining your right to say no to things, right? That was really I felt like the government had no right to tell me what I had to put in my body or not. You know what I'm saying? This is mine. You can't have it, and my children belong to me. And then I learned about the whole narrative about how parents don't own their kids, right? So it led me down this path to finding the assembly ultimately. A woman that I met along the way let me know, wow, we're assembling. And that just like, but anyway, I digress. The point is, you know, I didn't do a deep dive on food. I did a surface dive on food. So
Mm,
my knowledge about food is stay away from GMOs, stay away from pesticides, stay away from wheat. That's because wheat and corn are heavily subsidized in this country, and they're often not only genetically modified, but also sprayed with glyphosate, which kills your gut. And stay away from processed sugars, stay away from soy. So there's certain things that I learned on my journey about food. But and then I've heard about quote fad diets, right? I've heard about the keto diet and the caveman diet and the whatever the Miami South Beach diet and the juicing celery diet and all of these. I've heard of all of these different diets,
yeah.
and I've never been a dieter ever in my
Mm-mm.
entire life. I've always listened to my body that if I eat something that rubs me the wrong way, I really should stay away from it. Now, I do have one little weakness I got to tell you about. Okay. I have I have a weakness that if I have an opportunity to have ice cream, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And you know what? It probably has all the stuff I normally stay far away from, right? So, because that's
Mm,
sometimes I'll get a cough, right? If I have like
so
sour cream, like that, or
so
cheese.
you were asking about that.
Yeah.
And so um I feel like what a lot of folks are never thinking about this. So just for everyone out there, I was kind of on I wasn't a activist like Michelle was, in the sense of I was not trying to go do any kind of protesting, or I wasn't doing any activism in that way. I had
Mhm.
decided that I went to one meeting to try to go get fluoride out of our water. I went to one.
Mhm.
I went to the meeting. It started. I was first on the mic. I got up to the mic because they were wanting to talk about like the water treatment plant that was literally 2 blocks from my house.
Mhm.
And so, I went to the meeting. And because every time they would do something over there, we would smell it, feel it, taste it, whatever, right out of our
Yeah.
kitchen sink. Okay. And so
Ugh.
I went there. And friends, let me just tell you, they started the meeting. They were talking about, we are doing this is this to clean the water, and this is our new proposal, our new budget. And I don't know if they were just noticing us. That's basically what they were doing. Like, they were just noticing us.
Mhm.
And then then it was
Mhm.
kind of like, okay, does anybody have any questions? Which, shocking that they gave us an opportunity to say anything. So I'm first on the mic, and I said, I'm I'm just unable to process why you are putting things in the water in an effort to clean it, when everyone knows the only way to clean water is to distill the water. That's literally the only way to purify water. So, can you please explain to me, you know, why we aren't just distilling the water? To which they immediately said, "Oh, we've run out of time." And they ended the meeting. And I was like, I said, "Are you serious right now?"
That has
Like,
happened to
I
me
mean, I
before.
was on the mic and I said, I actually said, "Are y'all serious right now?" And I mean, I was seriously thinking, like, is this a joke? You know? And that was my first and my last effort to talk to what we were thinking was the government. Okay. And that was the moment that I was like, this is literally banging my head on the wall. And I don't do that. So I quit immediately. And I said, okay,
Mhm.
this isn't going to work. So that means I have to do what's required to fix what I need to fix. And they're not going to be the ones that do it. And so
Mhm.
I'm just never going to participate again. And so
Mhm.
I immediately went into studying water for 2 solid years. I studied water.
Mhm.
All the things that you can do, all the things that you can't do, and blah and ding and dong. And I'm calling all the companies to learn about every single filtration system. I mean, I can tell you things about all of them that, nobody should ever need to know all the stuff. And, the long and the short of it is, you cannot filter heavy metals out of water. You cannot. You cannot. I don't care if it's a Berkey. I don't care if you paid for the extra fluoridation piece. I don't care what happened. Berkey finally broke down when I was talking to them, and we're like, yeah, we don't get fluoride out of the water. And they stopped talking about it because I would not stop asking like the freaking question. I kept calling. I'm like, are you sure? Because, like, I don't know. Like, they said this and did it. First, they were trying to say 97%, 98%, 99%. Okay, no, we can't even do it. Just, we can't do it. Like, you can't.
Yeah.
And so I was
Yeah.
like, Why are you
Yeah.
even
You're like,
pretending?
we really want 100%. Can we get to
I
100?
mean, can we just know? Like, I started asking everybody, like, how much
Mhm.
poison is good enough for you? How much? I
Right.
don't know. Like, because at some moment, look, when you're drinking water that's living, this is the other thing that I learned. When you have a natural spring, a beautiful
Mhm.
natural spring. Did you know it's alive? That water is alive. You can speak love into it. It will do things for you. It is powerful water, okay? Like straight out of the spring. However, if you try to contain it in a flask or any kind of bottle, you will kill it and then you will cause cholera and disease if you do that without boiling it, not because the water's dirty or that the water needs to die or that you clean the water by boiling it. No, you're killing the water to contain it because if you don't, then when you contain it, it dies in the bottle. And that causes the disease because you're drinking a dead living organism. But if you cook it, then you can drink it like that. So I just want to make all this very plain and clear for everybody because they will never do this on any educational program, any institutional strength, whatever. They will never tell you this. But if you put them in a corner like I did and you
Mhm.
go, are you sure about that? Are you sure about, like a mother checking it out for their
Mhm.
kids? I like put it in their head like, look, my one kid's dead. So do you even know what you're talking about? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure that works? Are you sure? How much does that work? How much does that work? Oh, it doesn't. Okay, thank you. Just tell me that you don't know. Stop acting like you know because they don't freaking know. So there is
Right.
zero water filtration out there that is going to be clean. There is zero water filtration out there that is going to take heavy metals out of the water. Zero. The only way to clean water is to distill it. I learned that in like first grade or second grade or sometime in my basic elementary school time when the very first time they boiled water and showed us the little thing. I mean, it was a little bitty demo of, how you made a cloud by boiling the water and you caught it in the plastic and then it rained down. Remember, like you would do it in the little
Yeah.
plastic bowl or whatever. Like
Yeah.
everybody did this at school, at least when I was growing up. I mean, I'm kind of old. I don't know what they do in the school anymore. But back then, like, how
Well,
Anna
now
says,
they're teaching all the kids how the water is, it can be a different gender. That's what they're learning at
oh,
school.
girl. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No. Okay. So just like Anna used to talks about, the US, history and the American. Okay. When I was in school, we used to boil water under a fishbowl and you would watch the clouds form and then it rained down, because you sweat the water out. And this is the only way you can clean water. It's the only way.
Yep.
Okay. Everything else that they do is lies and immorality. And so I'm not going to have a discussion about this. Like, don't post about it after the show or whatever. I'm not seeking anybody's opinions about it. I'm not seeking your agreement. I'm telling you that that is the only way to clean water. Now, the next thing, well, where are we going to get our minerals and, from the water? We need minerals in the water. No, you don't. You need to eat meat. Okay. You need to drink bone broth. That's how you get minerals. You have to have salt. Yeah, the salt. The salt. So, this is the other part, Michelle, friends out there in YouTube land. If you are watching this, probably you're interested in learning more about what we're talking about normally, which is, Anna Maria Reisinger's work and the American state assemblies. But listen, if you can comprehend that we need to take our nation back because we already know we've been usurped by the corporatocracy, then why is it that you don't know that the corporatocracy also filed the Flexner report, which was the standard of care with Congress in 1910 when they literally centralized the rest of the wagon wheel that I talk about all the time, which includes medical, food, the FDA, the USDA, the NCDA, and all the does and all the alphabet soup, okay, which is the same people that give power to the vaccine companies and the pharmaceutical industry and, the medical mafia. Did you know that you could have a serial killer surgeon in a hospital and no one will ever know? Because if a surgeon loses a patient, oh, well, something must have
Yeah.
happened. They don't Do you know doctors have more power to murder people than an attorney has, that any law enforcement guy has? I mean, are we all comprehending how frightening that is? And I'm not, look,
Well, you're not advocating for attorneys and cops to be able to kill people. I know that, but
no.
it came out funny.
Oh, okay. No. What I'm saying is that a lot of attorneys are known to be bad guys because they're putting people in jail, or,
Mhm.
you know, they're responsible for supporting getting people killed on death row, or I don't know, whatever. Or the
Right.
police that are, beating up people on the street or using excessive force, because they can't really get away with that, but a literal surgeon can. And it's not, I'm just pointing that out because people literally worship doctors, literally
Oh, yeah,
worship
they do.
doctors. And they
Yeah, if
act,
you've ever seen the Milgram experiment, you know that people will they will honor and go against their own better judgment. They will honor a doctor, someone in a white coat,
mhm,
over their better judgment. They will actually harm their fellow man,
mhm.
because a doctor said to, and they would do it as long as they know they're not going to be the one that gets in trouble.
Or a computer guy, Michelle, or
Mhm.
a tech
Oh, right. It,
guy.
it it really
If there
goes
was
in every industry, in every area. Yeah, people will
Well,
sell out. Yeah.
girl, what happened? I mean, some computer guy who used computer terminology like virus,
Mhm.
because computers get viruses, right? So, like,
Mhm.
a computer guy used that terminology, which actually means the same thing. Did you know, in a living man or a woman, it means the same thing. It means, I don't know. It is the medical professional term for, I don't know. That's what virus means. It means, I don't know. It means, you're kind of
Actually, this
glitching
is
or
a good
something.
segue about Bill Gates that we were
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about.
So
Yeah, because
we have
Mr.
a video.
Computer.
Yeah, I'm doing this on purpose because Michelle is brilliant.
Yeah.
She's always got all these cool clips.
Oh, you're so
So
kind.
so we got this clip we're going to show you, but before we get into that, I just want to say that it is fascinating to me that people did not question even once that this crazy computer guy, like, who is this man? How does he have any authority over my body or your body or anybody's
Mhm.
health? That Where does this man's knowledge and expertise come from? Except for his wallet. Like, how is this guy inspired at all to have a conversation about such things? But, like, just for the general population, that is a professional medical term, not for a pathogen, but actually for saying, I don't know, like, your body must be glitching, just like the computer, glitches. It literally means, I don't know, like, maybe you're not sleeping, maybe, you're drinking too much, maybe you smoke too much, maybe you need to eat better. Let's try some changes to your lifestyle. Why don't you take a walk every morning for 10 minutes or something? Let's see if that makes it better. This is
Mhm.
literally what that term means, and that's what it meant forever. And it actually only means that in big tech, and it just has the same meaning across the board, meaning, I don't know. It's
Mhm.
some kind of glitch or something. Let's just figure it out. That's so your physician would always say when we were growing up, well, there's no bacteria present. It must be some kind of virus or something. That's what they would say.
Yeah,
Now,
it's like the germ theory. situation. Yeah.
which is 100% lies and immorality. 100%.
Mhm.
It is our moral obligation to tell you that this is
Yeah.
lies. And anyone who wants to cancel, banish, delete me for saying this, like, let me just say it a little bit louder for all of you guys. There's literally no pathogen that is called by that term. None at all. It means it's a professional medical term. That means I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. That's what that means.
Mhm.
And so somehow he received an audience, this guy, this computer guy, receives an audience of people who were willing and ready to violate their sacred bloodstream because of the fear that he caused and created. And
Yeah.
and as a side effect says, oh well, and this has never ever been a cure for anything ever.
Right.
It's never a cure to poison your blood, friends. And if you ask a 5-year-old, they pretty much know that.
Yeah, that's why a lot of them are scream at the doctor going, "Ah, no, no," inherently.
A brand new baby knows that should a 1-day-old baby knows that this is
Yep.
not okay. It's not okay. And
Yeah.
so um for all the moms out there, I'm not shaming you because my daughter's dead. And the MMR
Mhm.
vaccination 1,000,000% caused that. Also,
Mhm.
I'm not better than you. I was stupider than you are. And I had nobody guiding me. And now because I know, I'm making a big noise about it because my daughter's already dead. Okay. So I just don't want yours to die. So if you want to listen to what I'm saying, you can listen. If you don't want to listen, it's fine. Like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just trying to tell you because I don't want other people to be harmed. I mean, everything that we're
Mhm.
doing is because we so passionately don't want any more harm to come to anyone else.
That's
Like
exactly right.
that's the only thing. I mean, Michelle's child has been injured. I had one that was injured, tortured, murdered, okay? So, and 100% she was murdered because none of that had to happen. It all happened
Mhm.
uh against my wishes, but I didn't have enough knowledge, I didn't have enough confidence, I didn't have enough information to
Mhm.
stand up. And so it's why I'm so vehemently trying to pour that into as many people that will receive it, that can receive it. I know everybody's not ready for that, but okay, I tried to do it.
Tried to do what? No, you did a great job. Well, the fact of the matter is, because there is a bridge between this food issue
Mhm.
and assembling. Why? Because we see the writing on the wall.
Right.
We see what's coming with, like, what's already been here with big ag and the death and destruction because of big agriculture and chemicals and all of that, right? GMOs and
Mhm.
pesticides, chemical trails in the sky and all of it, right?
Right.
But
I mean,
we also know where they're going. And that's why I wanted you to play that video,
okay.
because there's this push towards laboratory created food.
Mhm.
First they warned us about, you know, listen, they always tell you what's coming. Why do you
Mhm.
think they came out with gummy worms?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
I mean,
It was the
they have to
it
tell
was
you
the
what they're
pre
gonna do. Yeah.
exactly. It was the precursor to you will eat bugs. It was like,
Mhm.
oh, first it was gummy bears, then it was gummy worms, then it was like gummy,
Mhm.
scorpions and gummy, all kinds of gummies, right? They've got gummies of every stripe now. So anyway, my point is that they've been gearing people up. They've been like priming the pump for years and years.
Mhm.
And people like me who have only done this periphery, um, scan about food,
Mhm.
I think it's important that people like you who have done like the massive deep dive on food can help us get to a place where we comprehend what you're talking about. Because I'll tell you what, for those of us that have only done a preliminary look at food quality, in terms of like staying away from GMOs. I think I already went down my little list. Okay. Staying away from all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's apparently a whole other level, right, that I know
Yeah.
you're incredibly passionate about. And there are also people who are incredibly passionate on the totally opposite side. In fact, there's a woman, my veterinarian,
Mm.
okay, Dr. May, Dr. Armighty May. She's not only an activist in the health freedom movement, she's a brilliant woman, incredibly dedicated, involved. She volunteers all the time. She's super smart and friendly and lovely. Like, she's lovely. Okay. Love her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's incredibly passionate on the polar opposite side as you.
Okay. Well,
And so when you
listen.
talk to people, I'm interested, but I
Yeah.
haven't done the deep dive. Okay.
Right.
So maybe you can help us by, maybe you could play the video so
Yeah.
people can see where
Let's
this is
start with the video.
going.
Yes.
Okay. And then we can
So,
talk about food security as it relates to our assembling and being self-governing.
right. Because the food security part is a big piece. So we're constantly talking about prepping and things, but there's a lot more going on that people aren't ready to receive. And I guess, a lot of the things that prompted me to want to talk about this, Michelle, and I mean, you and I, anyway, we're talking about this, is our militias. We're working with
Yes.
our militias to have these conversations
Yes.
and preparing our militias. And the militia is all the people. And so if you want to
Mhm.
prepare the people to be better, then there is an entire history about this, because just like they've been dumbing us down in schools about
Mhm.
government and about what the government is and about the truth about just everything from architectural history to, you know, the statues or,
Mhm.
whatever, anything. Um, then they have been doing the same thing regarding our health. I mean, and is this a shocking revelation? Like, I don't think this is shocking. It
Oh
shouldn't
no.
be shocking
It's
information.
just there's just the health piece of it, right? They've
Right.
got you in medicine, food, education, media,
Hmm.
entertainment,
Yeah. Well,
um,
I mean, if
uh,
they're not controlling your
hea-
health, then
Mhm.
you would be robust and
Right,
capable of just taking them over. They would fear you even more. They fear you already, but because if you found out the truth, what would you do? But like, what if you were
right.
robust? So let's just look at this. Okay, now I am not sure how to do this once again. I'm going to try it. So let's see here. Can you guys see this?
Nope, not yet.
Oh, hold on. Uh, oh, okay. I'm getting better at this. Okay, hold on.
Sure.
Uh, there we go. Uh-huh. Ah, okay. Now I'll be able to.
Okay,
Okay.
and read this. Read the text right above the video before you play it.
Okay. It says, as farmers across Europe protest for their livelihood, Bill Gates is promoting a company called Savor in which he's investing. Savor is working to replace animal based butter with synthetic butter. In a recent ad, Gates said, animal fat is a secret ingredient that gives many foods their richness, juiciness, meltability, and overall flavor. But it's bad for the climate, which is a complete lie. Anyway, so Savor has developed a process to turn CO2 and hydrogen into fat molecules like the ones we get from milk, cheese, and beef without greenhouse gas emissions, animal suffering, or dangerous chemicals. Okay.
It's, yeah, 2.5 minutes of propaganda.
Can you hear it?
That's great.
No. Oh,
Agricultural emissions are one of the most difficult to get rid of. People have come up with alternative food, but what we're seeing is that it's hard to get more than a small market share. And those foods just don't taste the same. Savor's made an advance in the chemistry. It's ultra different in terms of the environmental footprint, but it's as good as those real animal fats.
Ugh.
At Savor, we've been really excited to explore a new technical approach to making food that does not require vast amounts of land or animal suffering. It doesn't, produce greenhouse gases. It's a totally non-agricultural method for producing food. The fats that Savor makes are made by a thermochemical process. They are the only foods in the world so far that are made entirely without photosynthesis.
Happy to have you here. We're gonna have a meal together. Everything has been made with Savor fat, different kind of formulation of Savor fat in it. Everything we're trying to showcase here is that sustainable food needs to be craveable as well in order to get to mass adoption and mass market. We think that butter is very special and it fits very well our technology because it's hard to replicate animal butter. It has a very complex composition when it comes to fatty acid. What do you think?
That's great. Oh, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that wasn't butter.
Okay, that's great.
What shall we try next?
Next is burger and fries. So in this, we have a different kind of formulation. So it's our Savor tallow formulation. And then we have fries, and then we have aioli.
That's quite good.
Here we are looking for juiciness. We're looking for what we think is so far missing in the alternatives we find on the market. All of them are using plant oils. So like the melting profile is different. The mouthfeel is different. And so how do we get to something juicy and drippy and craveable? So now we have the end of this journey, which after burger, we're just going to get ice cream. And this is what they're looking for, something which is truly pleasurable and past beyond what we find very often on the market.
Try chocolate now. And we've got strawberry here.
Yes.
It's got that rich feel. So the dream here is that Savor itself will be coming out with butter in the next year or two. And then for these other products, Savor will be a key ingredient to help them achieve food that is environmentally friendly, but also tastes great.
I know, right? So the fact that they have food, the fact that they have the word food and formulation in the same sentence is like repulsive and repugnant. I'm sorry. It grosses me out. So beyond. Like I get so grossed out thinking that food is going to be made in a lab. I mean, they're like what they're doing with babies, right? With the artificial wombs and all that stuff. It's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That like, I don't know. It just, to me, it goes against all of the laws of nature, and nature's gone.
Okay, so this is literally the arrogance of man trying to be God. Okay, so people get upset when I say that we are creator. That people get upset with me when I say that, and I'm like, whoa, you're not upset with this maniac who he originally invested in all the fake meats. Okay, that's what he did, and that was a complete failure because it is disgusting. Okay. Also, if you want to be plant-based, like, look, I'm Indian. All right. So we're the greatest vegetarian population on the planet. And it was because when the British took India over, then they would not allow them to hunt and raise their livestock anymore. And they only promoted agriculture, and they only allowed them to receive anything that they could produce from agriculture, which was only the plant material. So they literally starved them out because they were not vegetarians at that time. Okay. They were hunters, and they had buffalo, and they had everything. And that is not what they allowed after they took over. All right. Now, so much to the degree that they rewrote their religions, they rewrote all this stuff. But when you go back and research the religions like I did, I was just like, wait a minute, this is crazy. Like Krishnji was a buffalo herder, and Ramji was a hunter. Everybody knew out in the woods. I'm just bringing these people up because that is who, like if you're from India, you would know what I'm talking about. All right. So the major religions are based all around this. And but then at the same time, you have like Ayurvedic medicine that a lot of people are familiar with, which was 100% based around ghee. Now, this ding dong He is literally a tech guy. He is not a doctor. He's not a chef. He's a failure and a
Apparently now
criminal.
he's a chemist making food.
Oh, he is a criminal who was going to be his tech people were coming after him because he was a failure in the tech world. Then he went into all these other arenas, and because they formed the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and spun it just the
Mhm.
right way, and whatever the media mafia did, they made them into some kind of heroes, which I have never seen that. I have never been able to appreciate that because I've always seen them for the total criminals that they are. Because, I'm sorry, like Anna says, stop lying. Why don't you just start by not lying to yourself? Okay. Like when
Right,
you
right.
my thing was if I could see the truth about whatever because I was watching them literally injure, torture, and murder my 2-year-old. Okay. While I was watching them do that, then do you think that I wasn't completely like aware, profusely aware of like whatever is I was on high alert. Okay. Like if you're being
Right.
trained, when you're being trained on the X, our former military people or anybody, who is a first responder knows what I'm talking about. If you do any immediate emergency medical training or anything like that, you're on the X and they train you. And when you're doing that emergency training, it is hardcore. And when you that's how I felt with our daughter's life on the line, with guns pointed at our head. We were doing whatever we could to try to save her life. So all the research I was doing was with a gun to my head. Okay. So I was like very focused with what I was doing. And so when I'm telling you that earlier you said something about everything that we're doing, there's a complete opposite, like people are against it. I mean, like on the opposite end of the spectrum or whatever. I'm not on one end of the
Mhm.
spectrum or the other end of the spectrum, just for the record. I am only on the end with the truth. So, and what I mean by that is that if you research all the anthropological records and you research first of all, you could start just with the Weston A. Price Foundation because Dr. Price did a lot of this research. Then, if you start
Uh-huh.
going into the book that I asked you to get, like The Fat of the Land, then that goes into it further. If
Which I
you,
did order. It just came on Saturday, but I haven't started reading it yet.
right. Well, if you take some, like you could also watch um, Naked and Afraid, okay? Or you can watch any of these challenges where, they put you out alone somewhere in the middle of nowhere and you try to live and not die. If you
But
take,
do they keep it clean? I'm really not interested in seeing naked people. I gotta tell you, I'm just
okay,
not.
I don't want you to watch that show. I'm saying pick I don't know what they call this other one. They have all these challenges. You know how they have Survivor? They got all these different ones
Oh,
where
yeah. I used to be a
it's like,
Survivor junkie in the early
yeah.
2000s.
So not like the Survivor game itself, but like there's all these other like shows where you are supposed to just go and like be by yourself in the middle of nowhere. So they take people and they drop them in the middle of nowhere, like in the wilderness, and then they tell them, okay, let's see who lasts the longest. It's like a survivalist type game
Mhm.
or whatever.
Mhm.
Well, when you watch those shows, if those people don't kill an animal and eat it, they're going to die. Now, even in this nonsense that this lunatic presented to us, he's like, the suffering of animals. Well, let me just explain to everybody out there. I only work with regenerative farmers. And out of our regenerative farms, I have not eaten out of a grocery store in 15 years, and I will never eat out of a grocery store. Okay. If I don't know who raised it, I'm not eating it. And I would be raising it myself, but we didn't have land. I couldn't buy land. That's a whole different lesson. Like I can do like a month's worth of these talks and tell you about all the reasons for all the things. Okay. But in an effort to be efficient with time, I'm just going to say this. If you get dropped in the middle of nowhere, if you want to get out of that, the only way that you're going to find your way out is to eat meat. You're going to die if you don't. you will literally die because there's no garden. Okay. There's no garden out there. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't use herbs and, essential oils or, seasoning or salt because we use that. Okay. And it's medicinal, but you would not eat plates and plates full of plants. You would never do that. You would never do that. You would eat a piece of meat because if you are physically like traveling out west, if you're physically living out on a homestead, you are not going to eat a bunch of plants. You're not.
Right.
If you try to do that, you're going to die. The only way that you're going to be able to do that really is to go to a store. That means it's not real. That means you're buying, and let's just be honest. What do we buy at the grocery store? Prepared junk like, crackers, breads, chips. I mean, and I don't know, like I haven't been to a grocery store in so many years. Like we are not eating all that stuff. So
Mhm.
I don't really know because like we get cheese from our farmers, we get raw milk, we get yogurt, we make things, make butter. So I don't really know. I'm a bad person to try to figure out what it is that you're buying at the store, except for a lot of produce that's out of season. It's not from your circadian location. So it's a circadian mismatch. So this is something for everybody to think about. When we were growing up in the 70s, you could not cross state lines with produce. So like on North Carolina, we didn't have Florida oranges unless we drove to Florida and bought the oranges ourselves and brought them back ourselves. It was not in the store. On North
Wow.
Carolina, you only had whatever produce you would grow on North Carolina. And so that did not include bananas, oranges. Nobody thought about this either, by the way. It wasn't like, oh my God, you're so deprived you didn't eat a banana. No, we're in Charlotte, North Carolina. There aren't any bananas around here. You know, if we go to Florida, we would get bananas because we're in Florida. You know, when you're in Chicago and you're eating bananas, that's a major circadian mismatch. Okay. So that is not going to be good for you. So if you're living and
Wow.
you can in California, maybe you can grow lemons and limes and oranges and bananas in your backyard. I don't know. And
I
if you
do have the best lemon tree ever. I just want you
okay,
to know.
okay, yeah. Like, look, if you can grow that in your backyard, that's
Uh-huh.
fine. But if you can't grow that in your backyard, that's a circadian mismatch. All right. So that's all I have to say about plants. Number one. Number two, nobody ate plants in the volume at that time like we do today. When I was coming up, I mean, I was Indian and we ate a lot of vegetarian food, but that actually didn't include a whole lot of plant material. There was a lot of beans, a lot of pulses, a lot of rice, a lot of, you know, roti and things that were breads, that were made. And all of that stuff is literally slave food, bread and water. Like, think about it. What do you feed the slaves? What do you feed the prisoners? Bread and water. Bread and water. And a lot of folks think, oh, well, the Whappers teach you how to make sourdough bread. So it must be great. I'm like, yeah, they've also come a whole long way since then. And I would think that they will tell you nowadays, Sally probably isn't really trying to promote the bread as much as she's trying to promote the butter. Okay. So, and if you look at these traditional, cultures, then you would take the fat of the land. So, Michelle, you were asking about butter and dairy and whatever.
Mhm.
If it's out of the
Yeah.
store, it's dead because it has to meet health code. If it has to meet health code, it's bleached. All the produce in there is bleached. You know that water that you see spraying your produce that's so pretty that comes in the sprinkler at the store?
Oh, right, right. Yeah, they have the little hose at the top that goes
Uh-huh.
even on
Yeah.
the
Uh-huh.
organic section.
Right.
Mhm.
That's bleach water. So it has bleach and water in there, and they're spraying that to enzymatically kill your plants and make sure everything is free of bacteria. which means they literally are bleaching it. Now, do you come home and bleach your food before you eat it?
Mm.
Okay. So again,
No.
how much poison is good enough for you? And if you didn't get enough, like, so if you didn't get enough, then they make sure in your tap water that the chlorine level is so high. They got you focused on fluoride. And meanwhile, it's straight up bleach water you're drinking. Okay. So what was that movie? Like, I See Dead People. What was that one?
Oh, The Sixth Sense?
Okay. In that one, remember how one of the kids in that movie was trying to tell everybody that her mom poisoned her, or her aunt or her grandmother? I don't remember the movie very well, y'all. I'm really bad with that. I'm sorry. Like, somebody was feeding this child poisoned food, basically. Like, they were pouring bleach into the food or whatever. They're doing this in your kitchen sink. Okay. So if you didn't get enough of the chlorine all over your organic, GMO free vegetables, then they're spraying it with the chlorine in your face at the shop, while your kid's probably putting their hand under there when it's sprinkling, going, hey, like when the thing sprays the water. OMG, this is horrible. And then you come home and you wash your salad and you spray something that they say, oh, the organic vegetable wash. Why would you ever need to buy organic vegetable wash? I mean, like, I used to go garden when we were kids. In our backyard, we grew everything. So if I walked out back and I got something, I literally rinsed it with the hose and just ate it. I just wanted to get like the
Like
the
dirt
stand,
or
the
whatever.
dirt. Yeah,
Stuff off. Yeah.
you just don't want it to be, gritty. So you would get the grit
Right.
off and then you would just eat it. Sometimes you just brush it with your hand or wipe it on your shirt. We just didn't care. Like, we would just do that and eat, right? Or you would shine apples on your shirt. It wasn't like you had to
Right.
go find something. Like, this is us eating. That was our snack time. We didn't even really snack. Okay, guys. We would go hours without food. Like, we would wake up in the morning, have breakfast. Usually that was eggs in my house. Okay. So we'd eat some eggs and have a glass of milk. And our milk was raw back then because it was the guy used to leave it on our porch, the milkman. Okay. And then I remember when we started going to the store to get the milk. And then I remember when we would go to the store and it was red and blue and green milk. It wasn't just the red milk anymore.
Oh, right. Yeah. They started having the low fat and then like half fat and then
Yeah.
like skim, non-fat. Yeah.
Right. So they would do all of that craziness afterwards. So anyway, like, it just, ugh. These are unnatural things, friends. Okay. Like, what kind of study do you require to be able to know that you don't need somebody to spray bleach water on your food? I'm not understanding. Or the chlorine water that's coming out of your sink because the water treatment plant is chlorinating the water, which you can smell in your freaking shower. I mean, it's horrible. This is them cleaning the water because they won't distill it. Friends.
Well, you know what I think happens is I think that people want to buy organic. There's like people are starting to wake up to you got to get away from the pesticide.
Okay,
So
let me
my
tell
guess
you.
would be
Let me tell you.
that people, because they're not growing their own food and they don't have a farmer next door, that they're going to do their best and think that they're getting really high quality organic food at the supermarket. And probably what happens, because I know sometimes when I buy organic produce, well, that's the only kind of produce I buy, but when I buy it, sometimes there's living bugs in it. Sometimes I'll bust open my lettuce and there's
A
little
worm or
critters
something.
running
Yeah.
around on my lettuce, right? So I got to clean it off leaf by leaf and really inspect what's going on there. But
Mhm.
my
And
guess is that people probably complain to the supermarket and go, hey, I bought whatever lettuce and there was bugs on my lettuce. And so probably the store is like, hey, Joe, add more bleach to the thing, because we got another complaint this week about bugs in the lettuce, so it's probably something like that, is that people are such wusses that they feel like they got to complain all the time to the store manager about, a creature being on their lettuce. You know what I'm saying?
I think
So
you're
it's not the same.
I think you're so cute. Michelle, you're so sweet and
Oh,
cute. Like, let
oh,
me
my
just tell
ego
you.
thanks you, Niti.
Aw, Michelle, you're so cute, girl. Like, you're so nice. You're so nice. You give them so much credit. No, let me explain. So,
Well, the only reason why I do is because I can relate to being that asleep.
okay,
I can,
well, how about
and
this?
I do remember one guy one time having this little table outside of the bank, right? When I used to still have a regular bank account. This guy had this table with all this like books and posters and like flags and all kinds of stuff. And I don't even really remember what he was talking about, but he was shouting at me when I was leaving the bank. He was shouting at me. And that was my first like real introduction to what an activist is like, right? And I'm like, ah, and so, but he was trying to snap me out of my haze of like that the world is so rosy. You know what I'm saying? And so, I get that too. Like, hello, wake up, like, so I can really see both sides, and everywhere in between.
I think everybody needs to go to this USDA link and read what is required for like what is the health code standard, and look up, like, if I encourage people to look up if you're a farmer and you are going. So let me also distinguish the difference between farming and agriculture. It's the same, friends, as saying that we are either people or persons. Okay? Let
Ah,
me be very clear.
I love
So,
that I love that you're bringing this into this our passion, like our the thing that we're totally both here for. So I want to hear what you have to
this
say.
is because it's the same, okay? So,
Mm-hmm.
our articles that Anna writes, okay? The persons on the contracts are the same as agriculture. Now,
Okay.
farming is an agrarian act,
Okay.
and so is eating.
Yeah.
Eating is an agrarian act. So, in my food church, I refuse to work with consumers, right?
Right.
I refuse.
That legal term.
I mean, I'm not a consumer. I am an eater. And I was talking to somebody one day, Michelle, and she goes, I think you could come up with a better word than that. Okay.
Well, not
And
to be confused with useless eater that they're trying to say that we all are, right?
what?
Oh, you hadn't heard that we're all useless eaters?
No.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's the rhetoric now. Is that
Oh.
people are just useless eaters. That's what we are, and that's what
Oh. So you're
this is the
triggered.
story that
This is,
yeah.
oh my gosh. Of course. Of course. Listen, any living language, any of the language of the living people, they're going to use that as triggers.
Mhm.
Psychological triggers, friends, what I'm talking about. This is a professional psychological term, trigger. They use living language as trigger words so that when you speak to somebody who is touching the, like living right now, like me, and I'm calling you an
Mhm.
eater, you're going to be offended, immediately offended. Okay. What? I'm not an eater. Oh my gosh,
Right.
I'm not an eater, okay? I'm not an eater.
Yeah.
I am a consumer. Okay. This literally fight with you, and I'm just like, okay, well, if you want to be a robot, that's fine, but like I refuse to do business with consumers. I will only do business with living men and women who can take responsibility for themselves. And so if you're not an eater, I am not here to serve you. Okay? And also,
Right.
the other problem with consumers is the customer's always right. Well, you're not a customer. Not for me. I don't need customers. I need eaters. If you're not an eater who's a living man or woman who is operating on the land and soil, and operating as an agrarian, with the agrarian act of eating and nourishing the body, get out. Like, don't come near me. Also, you're not always right because you don't know what you're talking about. Also, if you did, then you would appreciate that, oh, sorry, there's a fly in the milk, because we are not operating inside in chlorine. We are operating outside where there's flies sometimes that could fly into your milk. And you know what we do? We strain it out and throw it away and still drink the milk. That's what we do. Because
Yeah.
it's a living food. It is a
Yeah.
living food. When it comes out of the cow, you think it might not accidentally, like a fly could fly through the stream of milk coming out the cow, going into the bucket.
Right.
I mean, this is what happens when you're outside. Who knew? So we milk the cows, stuff could go in the bucket. Also, then we strain the milk, and it's cleaner than a lot of things. It's cleaner, it's more nutrient dense. Okay. Then the other thing that they started doing a few years ago, about 10 years ago, actually, maybe 15, is they started, when you would go to restaurants, saying, what protein would you like with that? And I would always say, I don't want any protein. I want meat. Do you have meat with bones in it? Because if you don't, I don't want it.
Wow. Yeah, that happened over the weekend. My daughter
Uh-huh.
ordered a salad, and the lady was like, "Do you want any protein on your salad?" And
No.
you're
I don't know
clicking
what.
something for me right now because they're all.
Yeah. I don't want a protein.
She was like, "No, thanks. No, I'm good."
I don't want a protein. What I want is meat. And I want that meat to have bones. Do you have meat with bones? Oh, you don't? Is it real? How do I know? Y'all should wonder. You should ask these questions. Okay. If you're going to go to a restaurant, which I don't recommend at all, because if somebody else is cooking something for you, they could feed you anything. Also,
Right.
they don't want to tell you everything because, there's the recipe secrets. And I can get that. If you are
Mm,
eating somewhere where it's a living man or a living woman who is making the food, they're going to be more proprietary about their recipe because it's a living man or a living woman. Now, the persons in the corporate, like these restaurants, otherwise, they don't care because they just gonna feed you, Bill's butter. No, I do not want some chemistry project on my plate. No.
right.
Also don't tell, that chemistry project crap that he's creating out of nothing. Actually, he's creating it out of some plant material. This is what you should research. Can you please talk to a botanist? Please. It is my encouragement for everyone to go and make friends with a botanist. And if you were to go, Michelle, and ask a botanist, what's in broccoli? What's in asparagus?
Yeah, they'll be all.
What's in avocados? Also, what's in kale? Because when I was growing up, didn't nobody eat kale? Okay. Nobody ate kale when I was coming up. Nobody ate kale. Never heard of kale in my life until I
Yeah,
was
till I was much older.
I was like 40. Okay. Nobody was eating that before I was 40 years old. I had literally, and I don't mean I didn't hear about it because I'm not well traveled, and I have traveled all over the world, eaten out of, and, operated with many, many cultures. And most cultures, most of the traditional cultural plants are herbs. Most of them. It's very, very few. I mean, there's herbs, there's beans and rice, and there's the grains, the various grains, like teff and wheat and, barley. I mean, some of the old ancient grains, okay? Like nobody, corn, there was some corn, but most of the stuff that's coming up today, like they say that, okay, you're raising corn to raise beef. I'm not. We're eating grass-fed beef. Also, our beeves, they are not suffering at all. They're very happy and they live long lives, not like the crap in the store or at a restaurant, okay? And also, your avocados that you want to eat so bad for the fat, the healthy fat that you think you're getting from them, you're killing about 30,000 gophers to raise one patch of avocados. So if you think you're not causing
Whoa.
harm, go do the real research on agriculture, which is corporate, okay? It's dead corporations, that is agriculture. Now, let's get to farming. Farming is what families do. Families farm, corporations do big ag, okay?
Are there any family farms left with that big push, of the corporate
No.
takeover of all of the farmland?
No, there's like 5, okay, maybe 10, there's not a lot. There's not a lot. On North Carolina, we have no farms that could okay. Also on North Carolina, here in Raleigh, North Carolina, one grocery store in Raleigh is servicing 10,000 households. One grocery store.
That's kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah, this is your, let me tell you about your food security, okay? So one grocery store on North Carolina, in Raleigh, North Carolina, like the capital, it's one of the big cities, is serving 10,000 households. One grocery store in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is the banking capital of America, okay? Charlotte, North Carolina, one grocery store is servicing over 20,000 people, okay? And each of those grocery stores, well, I'm not saying people, sorry, families. So households, I should say households, all right? I want to make sure I'm very clear. 10,000 households. That means somewhere between 40 and
2, 3, 4,
80,000
5
people.
people. Yeah, could live there. Yeah.
40 to 80,000 people, all right? How many people is the food church feeding or any farm? Less than 500.
Wow.
So, and I have food all the time for the people that are coming. Everybody who on North Carolina calls themselves a farm, they're not a farm, they're a homestead. There's a difference. So let's identify what the differences are. Because when you guys go to a farmer's market, you need to find out if this is a farm or a homestead. Because it shouldn't be big ag. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now you do have big ag people at a farmer's market. So you need to learn what's going on there, especially in California with y'all's farmers markets on California. Look, last time I was in LA or San Diego, y'all's farmers markets are gigantor. That is not a family farm in most cases.
Well, the way that we do it in LA is we have, all kinds of different farmers from all over. Mostly they come from like the Ventura sort of, like Central California area, mostly. But we also get people from like Temecula, San Diego Mountains, sort of Ramona area. But they come and there's so many, different vendors next to one another and could take up a whole block, big old city block. So
all I'm going to say, all that I'm going to say is you have to meet health code to come to the market.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, that's what you have to do. You have to meet health code. They fall under your local USDA people. So like for us, it's NCDA.
Those unelected,
murderers, the fraudulent, the fraudulent corporatocracy, fake, phony, fraud murderers, those people. Yes. So those guys told me if I wanted to sell meat, I had to be inspected. And I can talk about that for about 15 hours. Okay. So I'm just telling you.
I'm giving both of us my little 15-minute warning so that we don't do 15 hours, but keep going.
So listen, friends, I have my own YouTube channel called Niti the Pharmacist. All right. And it's here on the screen. You can see Niti the Pharmacist. So if you put Niti the Pharmacist in the YouTube channel, because we're on Niti the Pharmacist and the United States of America YouTube channels all the time, in addition to Rumble and everywhere. So, because listen, this all is the same mission. Our mission is the same, whether it's for the food, for the medicine, for the whatever. That's the reason why Michelle stopped doing what she was doing, and she came here, and I did too, because at the end of the day, this is the wagon wheel we're trying to take over. Okay. Because when Americans are in charge of this lies and immorality, this is going to go away. Okay. Because we're going to be like, no, what? Because once you get in the offices of the state and you start seeing what they're doing, like actually, you're going to
Yep.
go, OMG. OMG. But I'm
Yeah,
telling you that on the way to that, friends, listen, on the way to that, here's some things that I just want you to marinate on. Okay. So what Michelle's talking about, me being so far over to one side versus the other, is after working for 15 years with families in crisis who have children who have cancers, autism, like I'm talking about nonverbal autism, MS. I'm talking about children with rheumatoid arthritis. I'm not talking about the adults. I'm talking about the children. Okay. I have been working with families who have children who have vitiligo and all of these things for 15 years. Okay. And I am telling you, the same way that I researched the water, I had to figure out all these other things. Plus, I had to have solutions for all these mothers and children. And so
Mhm.
this isn't about me playing medical doctor or me being right or you following my TikTok videos about me saying that you should eat this and not that. Okay. This is not about that. I don't do that. If you look for me on social and you see all the stuff I'm talking about, I don't do that. I don't do that because I work face to face with families, thousands and thousands for the last 15 years I've worked with. And we have made it where autistic children speak who have never spoken, who are like, and rather than being bound up like this, they're walking tall. They're more functional than they were. They're getting better, and you cannot do it without meat. You cannot do it without meat. You cannot do it without meat. You have to have livestock that is healthier than the plants. I mean, sorry, than the animals in the stores are in kidney and renal failure. They are sicker, and so they're going to cause more problems. But they have more life-giving force than the bleached plants. So what are the options? You got bleached plants, or you got animals in kidney and renal failure, and you have dead milk. All the dairy, by the way, Michelle, in the store. The reason the dairy is bothering anybody, Michelle, and the ice
Oh,
cream is
no.
so bad is not because you shouldn't enjoy ice cream. Because if you come see me with our raw milk, we will make you some fresh raw milk ice cream, and you can enjoy that with a little touch of honey or some vanilla or something, and it would be totally fine. But it's not okay out of the grocery store, because when you read the ingredients, that is a whole bunch of crap. And even if you get organic milk and sugar only, okay, that milk is dead because they boiled it and whatever, bastardized it. Okay, sorry, friends, but there's no other way to say that. But once you take it and you interfere with the life force of nature, and then you try to put it in your mouth and ingest it, your body is like, what is this? When you're drinking a Bang drink or a Starbucks coffee, even, it's like, what are you doing? What is this? Especially you people that are drinking the Starbucks coffees with all the 10 pumps of whatever the things are. I'm not talking about just a coffee with just some, organic cream in it. Okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about just the coffee with just the butter and the cream. I'm not saying that. But even if you put some raw sugar in there, fine, whatever. Okay. But when you put the pumps and the pumps of whatever all that stuff is, that's mostly,
Yeah, it's high
it's
fructose corn syrup, right?
I mean, I don't know. It's pumps and pumps of stuff. Chemistry project. All you have to
Yeah.
know is that it came not from a plant, not from an animal. It came from a lab in a bottle, and it's consistent across the board because it's their brand and it's patented. You can't patent life. So you can't patent a cow and you can't patent lettuce. Okay. But you can patent all the vegetables that are in the grocery store. Uh-huh. So you might not want to eat those. You might want to go find anybody around you to see what they're growing, and or don't eat it. And that's exactly what we did. Why? Because our daughter is dead. So we weren't going to kill the other two. Do you see what I'm saying? So we went really extreme and went real hard into, if I don't know where it came from, we don't eat it. That cut out a whole bunch of stuff because I couldn't find a bunch of things. And everybody's like, ooh, and we would find local wheat and we'd find local whatever and we'd find local la la la, only to find out our cells still can't receive it as medicine. So I'm giving you kind of a rapid education, but
Yeah.
you can read. I wrote a book about this, you guys. I'll put a link so you can see that I have a book. Actually, it's in the show notes already.
Mhm.
If you go to my Linktree, then or maybe the Niti the pharmacist one is. I don't really promote that on my stuff. My work with Anna, I really try not to. I don't try to impose all that stuff on you guys. But thank you for allowing us to have this conversation, because I just feel like, how are our militias going to be strong, friends? I just don't know. How are they going to be strong if you can't eat and live and not die?
Yeah, that's a concern because, the writing is on the wall. It's going to be about bugs. It's going to be about lab created, formulated food. It's going to be about,
Poison
this
and
quote
poison.
sustainable development agenda, as you could learn all about their
Did you see him?
sustainable development goals and all this other stuff, right? So
Yeah, he's so creepy. Like, sorry, but not sorry. Also, that's just gross. Also, no. Just say no, friends. Say no to lies and
right,
immorality.
just say
Well,
no.
so that's the other part of it. If you don't, it's immoral. How? Okay, look. I know that you didn't really want me to, but I think I just pushed you into another rabbit hole. You're welcome. I really love you so much. I just want you to live and not die. I don't want to be here by myself, and I want to be here with
Right,
all of you.
right.
I don't want you to suffer needlessly, and I'm sick and tired of the abuse of the children. Like, I'm sick and tired
Oh
of it.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
sick
yeah.
and tired of it.
That's the
Also,
that's the saddest part is what they're doing to the kid. I mean, it's bad enough what they can do to adults, but well, I'm not saying adult in the legal sense. I'm just saying grown-ups, you know what I'm saying, men and women. But it really breaks my heart what they're doing to kids. And I was reading this thing recently that just like was jaw-dropping about kids. So kids that end up in the foster system, right? And then like the state they pay, the foster families to care for these kids, right? Well, when the kids turn 18, you know what happens? They
they're
owe that
thrown
money
out.
back to the state.
What? No.
They owe the money back to the state, apparently. Can you imagine, like, woohoo, I'm a grown up, I'm 18. Grown up, right? I'm 18 and now I'm I'm on my own. Okay, great. And here's your bill for what, $100,000, $200,000 or whatever. And then they get to, for the rest of their lives, pay that back. What a bummer.
Not if
I
they
was
were
like, that's
Americans.
really,
Not if they were. Not if we get hold of them. If one of
that's
them,
right.
if one of those kids watches this video and gets a whiff of us, y'all, if you get a whiff of this video, you should watch all the other videos and find your assembly on your state and let us help you,
Yeah.
because you don't owe
Yeah.
anybody
No
anything.
one should turn 18 and then be faced with a tsunami of bills that they owe the quote government. It's just,
No, we're the
I'm
government.
sorry.
We're the government. They're the
Right. That's why
corporatocracy.
I did this. That's why I do this, because
They're
you
the
and I, but the people out there still refer to their city council as their local government. So that's why I do this.
They're the
Because
corporatocracy.
they're not actually government.
Let's call them what they are. They are the corporatocracy. They are the corporatocracy. They're the corporatocracy who operate on paper. They operate in law merchant, in maritime courts, on our land, unlawfully. And we're trying to stop it as fast as we can. But while we're working on that, find your local assembly.
Yeah, well, they're operating in maritime commerce is what they're doing.
Well, that's
And
law merchant.
Well, no, actually, they're different because law merchant would be from the land, land to business. It's like land to commerce, sort of.
Well, I guess it's
Well,
us
I can't
dealing
say it
with
like that because that's going to confuse people. It's like, from the land to the air, right?
it's how we have to deal with them is the law merchant way because we're alive, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Okay, right, right, right. Yeah, yeah.
Because
Living people.
we're on the land alive, and when we're having an exchange with them, we're operating in law merchant because they are maritime, right?
Yeah, they're operating in let's put it this way, they're operating in the laws of the sea, but because they interface with the air through corporations, right? All of the corporations are in the air jurisdiction. So that's how come they say maritime commerce, because commerce is technically in the air.
Right. And because we're on the
Mhm.
land and they're in the water and the air is holding us together, then it's law merchant when we're dealing with them. From our side, I think. Maybe I'm saying this wrong. I
No,
could
no,
be
no. I mean,
totally wrong.
Anna did say that she operates in law merchant, but
Mhm.
that's as it relates to, living people doing business, right?
With
Because
them.
business,
Well, we on the land have agreements. We don't have contracts.
right? Yeah.
But
So
but
like if you and I get into an agreement, right?
mhm.
We're just engaging in a private agreement,
Right.
right? But if
Right.
a living man or a living woman does, let's say they exchange for, and it's a quote business transaction, they're not
Right.
doing a transaction with if it's a business, that
Right.
business is not a man or a woman. That business is a thing.
Maybe.
So if living men
If
and
they're
living women on the land,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If it's not a private business owned by a living man or woman, yes, they would be doing. That's why we're trying to teach people in the assemblies who are business owners to bring their businesses back home and make them private businesses on the land and not allow them to maintain their corporate status in the water,
yeah, yeah, incorporate, yeah, and
in the air, in the I guess it's the
yeah,
air.
and not to be confused with private membership associations or private membership organizations. We're not doing like
Actually,
PMAs.
no, because PMAs, you cannot have a private usufruct. There's no such thing as a private usufruct. So that's the new scam is the PMA. So they want to teach everybody that they should be operating in a PMA, and the PMA is actually also not okay. This is them tricking us to contract with them again because there is no such thing as a private usufruct. We're probably outside of our scope. We might need to shut up, but
Yeah.
I know, but I definitely know that there's no private usufruct.
Well, there's certainly the corporatocracy. Oops! Oh my goodness! I had this thing on my. I almost like pulled out my headset. I did pull out my headset. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Hear
yeah,
that?
yeah.
How funny.
Are you okay?
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I'm okay. I was like moving a hair out into my trash can. Um, Anna talks about these usufructs,
Yes.
and how they've imposed this idea that they can use our talent, our time, our energy, our gifts to the
Oh,
world.
our
You know what I'm
shingle.
saying?
Yeah. When they're using our name,
Yeah.
then they're using it as their public usufruct. So they can use our name as a usufruct so long as they do not cause us harm.
Right. Well, and there should be full disclosure, and they should be sharing in the they should be sharing in the fruits of that, but they're not.
But you can call them out on it by reminding them. You're giving them an out. Because if they won't take that out and grant you uh, a solution, because they have to make sure that you aren't harmed.
Right. Kind of like how with HJR 192, there was supposed to be a solution.
Hmm. If they
because
don't,
if they took away all the money, people had no way to pay their bills. There was
Mhm.
supposed to be a solution so that people didn't incur,
Right.
life draining debt,
Right, right. They can't cause you harm. So you can uh uh that's when you put a liability, that's when you lien them for liability.
Mhm.
And you say to
Mhm.
them, "Hey, uh I don't if you want to, use me as a usufruct, then you have to make sure that you create a remedy here for
That's
me."
right. There has to be a remedy. That's
Right.
exactly right.
And so if they don't provide you with a remedy, then um, you know, but if you aren't declared friends, none of this even matters for you. Like you need to be declared first as a living man or a living woman. I guess we just will talk to you guys about this next time because we are going way over time. I'm sorry, Michelle. Like we just start talking and then it turns into one more thing and a one more thing.
Next thing you know, it's an hour and a half. Like, really? It flew by. So
I'm
thank you,
sorry.
Niti.
Thank you,
No, no,
Michelle.
no. Don't be sorry. This was awesome. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. See you guys next week. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, and next week we're going back to the usual time, right? 11 a.m. Pacific.
And 2 p.m.
Oh,
Eastern
wait.
Standard. Oh,
Oh,
no?
wait. No, next week is week 3. We made an exception this week for your anniversary. So
Uh-huh.
next week is the normal time that I have to do noon.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
That's what it
So
is.
so on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So
Yep. And
next
we'll do
week,
noon.
3 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh,
Noon Pacific,
Eastern.
3 Eastern. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome day.
Thank you so
Bye,
much, everybody.
Niti.
Bye, Michelle.